go, Dolphins fans. Happy Tuesday and welcome into Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. Hopefully everyone had a good 4th of July weekend and is ready for the upcoming days ahead here at Dolphins Today because we got training camp in about a week and a half. Rookies report actually on the 16th, which is 7 days away. So I'm fired up about that, which means we're 2 weeks away from everyone being at training camp and the football season being even closer. As we do get today's show started, as always, shout out your city, but as always, welcome in the man, Jack Lotteray.
We are a week away from football. And I know, don't let Matthew Peterson tell you that football's not officially back until week 1. Football's going to be back as soon as those rookies walk into the building, as far as I'm concerned. Football is here, baby.
I mean, next Tuesday, if that's the 16th, which if my math is mathin', I think it is, that means next Tuesday's live show, we might be able to talk about what is actually happening at training camp as long as there's some reporters letting us know, which fires me up. But a lot of people coming into the building to start off today's show.
Someone's asking,
very good.
What happened to the other Jack? I'm the same Jack. I've been here for forever.
You don't want to say the name that's saying that?
No, that's okay.
I love Latinas. Good for you.
Long-time watcher.
What?
I remember you from last time with old Jake.
I appreciate everyone coming into the stream today. Bob Ross, Kristen Reinhart. Continue to shout out your city for me. Chef Jews in the building. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Trapstar says fins up. Josiah says what's up. Richard says how can you not love Tua? I don't know. Listen, I'll be honest. I was getting into the comment section with some people talking about Tua on yesterday's video. People were very mean towards Tagovailoa. I understand if you're not the biggest believer in him, but he's your starting QB. You just got to ride with what you got. You got to ride with what you got. We got Chef in Miami, Florida, Dave in South Africa, Bob Ross in Indiana, Cedar Hill from Quentin, Tim Boo in Blue Ridge, Virginia, Richard is in Richmond. I have a couple friends that live in Richmond, Virginia. Josiah, Palm Coast. Craig says Allentown, Pennsylvania. Armando says California. Chad Jones says Virginia. What's up, Chad? Dad says Boston. Dustin says Lancaster. I Love Latina says Jackson. Kristen Reinhart says in California. Chef says day one on the show. Is this your first time ever tuning in to Miami Dolphins Today? Like, Chef, I have a question for you. Is this your first ever content you've watched? Like, you've never seen a video, and you're just like, you know what? This dude's live talking about the Fins. Let's join in and watch and see what happens. Or are you someone who's been subscribed and is just like, all right, this is the first live show we're going to get to? Chef, I want to know your thoughts down below. I know, like, I want to, like, because if he's someone who just joined randomly on our live show, that's electric. Now, if it's his first live show and has seen our content, okay. Okay, he says, no, sir, been here since day one. He's saying day one on the, day one viewer. Okay. Different ways you can interpret day one on the show. I thought it would have been Electric Factory if this was like the first time you ever saw anything. Just like right into the fire with a little live show. Yeah. Joseph saying Miami too. This is the biggest question surrounding the Fins right here. Will a Tua extension get done before training camp? This is not what you believe. This is what you think will happen. Because I know a lot of you are split on if Tua deserves an extension or if he doesn't deserve an extension. This is just a mere prediction. Will one happen prior to training camp getting started next Tuesday and before he reports in 2 weeks? Yes or no? Let me know down below. It's also our pinned poll as well, so vote there. 62% of the people are saying yes as of right now. Richard says yes. Chad Jones says no. Bob Ross says no. Fanatic says no. Dead Her says first live show I've seen with you, to be honest. That's fair. This is only our 4th live show, I believe, Jack. I was looking at the June analytics. We had 3. If you count the ones at the end of the draft, where we had first round live stream and day 3 live stream, this is our 4th weekly live show, which we'll continue to do on a weekly basis outside of 1 week. There's 1 week I'm going back to my hometown of Rochester, New York for a nice little week off before the preseason for the Dolphins. And that's the only time I believe we won't be live on a weekly basis going forward here at the channel. Michael says no. Chef says no. Joseph says pay the man. Tim says no. Another different Tim says no. Aguerdo says pay the man. What's up, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights? Bob Ross says I love Tua, but I don't know if I want him to get the Trevor Lawrence money. That's fair. It's fair. Ramon says no. So many of you believe one doesn't get done. So then that kind of brings me to a different question, right? If you are not paying Tua Tagovailoa prior to training camp, are you concerned about a holdout or a hold-in? There is a scenario where he doesn't really get into the action and he doesn't want to participate in preseason and training camp because he doesn't have a new contract. Is that something you're concerned about? It's something I'm slightly concerned about, to be honest. Like, I don't think he's capable of holding us hostage, but I don't want there to be issues going into training camp. This roster's too good to have a QB controversy. It is. We need everyone to be focused and locked in so we could have the best season possible. Chad says trade him. Quentin says, it's the first live show I've caught. Pay him, but not as much as Trevor. Would you be willing to pay him $52 million a season, which is what Jared Goff got? So $3 million less per season, Quentin. $3 million less. Tim Boo says, change my name from Tim B to include half of my last name. Okay, Tim Boo. All right, Tim Boo, I see you. So people aren't concerned about the holdout either. As we do progress here on today's show, if you feel so inclined to help donate to the channel and help us grow, any super chat gets featured on the show, and we will be doing a mailbag, just one today, but we're going to do one, and if you want your question or comment to be featured on the show without any doubt, a super chat will guarantee that. We'll keep the theme going with the $10 equals 5 push-ups because it feels like people have enjoyed that as we've gotten here at the channel. $20, I got my shots, and then $50 gets you into the Miami Heat. God, I say it all the time, Jack, Miami Dolphins Hall of Fame / Aqua Club. I'm just so used to that because, oh, that's not right. Aqua Club. We'll take it out of the box and get your name on the helmet. I'm just so used to saying Miami Heat because I was a host of the Miami Heat channel for a year, and then I got put onto the Dolphins channel, and I still got that little Miami. Anytime I'm live, I think the Heat first. Got to change that. That's for sure. So if you want to donate to the channel, anything is greatly appreciated. Not necessary, though. It's all fun and games. Let's continue the conversation on Miami because we are going to do a segment on the show in the end of it, the last segment we're doing, that is talking about potential blockbuster trade targets during training camp, in the preseason, or potentially even during the season before the trade deadline. If you have a Dolphins trade target in mind, drop their name down below. I got 5 that we're going to talk about later in the show, but I want to hear potentially a name that you have in the comment section. Let me see who you guys got. Tim says Jeff Wilson. See, that's a trade candidate. When we're talking targets, we're talking about who we're trading for, not trading away. We're not trading anyone today. We're trading for people. There's a difference between target and candidate. Chad says Tyreek Hill to Pittsburgh. We ain't trading Tyreek. Quentin says, what's the deal with Tannehill? Just an idea. Listen, I would be open to bringing him in. And I'll be honest, if he's not signed during training camp, which he's probably holding out for a team that could have a quarterback go down in the preseason or training camp and sign with them to be the starter. But if no one goes down, like, I'll take Tannehill back in Miami for the backup. I would. Josiah says Tyler Linderbaum. I wish. See, that is a trade target that would benefit Miami quite a bit. One of the best interior offensive linemen over in Baltimore. Let's see. Anyone else got a name? Milton says need an offensive lineman. I got 2 offensive linemen that we'll talk about later. Josiah says CMC. Nah, we got Jalen Wright. We got Raheem Mostert, and we got Devon Achane. We don't need him. We don't need CMC. We don't need him. Anyone else got any trade targets? Milton's the only one that had one alongside Josiah. And Michael says need a linebacker. I saw someone say that in the comment section. I don't believe the Dolphins do. And maybe Josiah says sexy Dexy. Dexter Lawrence would be crazy. I don't think they need to trade for a linebacker. I said that in one of the mailbags going over the weekend, Jack, and they started to flame me a little bit. Like, of why do you think we don't need a linebacker? Of course we need a linebacker. I don't know. I'm bullish on Jordan Brooks, David Long Jr., and Anthony Walker. They complement each other so well. You got Jordan Brooks, the defensive run stopper, getting downhill. Anthony Walker's one of the best coverage linebackers in the game, and David Long does it both. Like, I like all three guys.
Is it age? Are people ageist? Maybe
I don't know.
They're all getting a little bit older. I don't know.
Man.
It might be the age thing.
I also don't know what linebackers would be. They'd want to trade. So I don't know, man. Josiah says Derwin James. Starting lineman is definitely an option there. Definitely dead. Milton says Dak Prescott could be an intriguing trade. Cowboys aren't trading Dak. They ain't trading Dak. All right, before we get into today's show, we need some more likes. We have 80 people watching, but only 29 likes. Let's get to 41 likes, just above 50%. One like better than 50%. We need 11 more to get there. Hit that thumbs up button so we can get today's show started. It also helps us out, shows your appreciation as we put out daily content here at Dolphins Today, including a live show every single week. So hit that thumbs up icon. We showed the super chat menu a little bit earlier. If you can't donate to the channel, okay, we understand. But the best way to show your appreciation is to comment, subscribe, and hit that thumbs up icon. We're 4 likes away. Chad Jones is saying like the video. When Chad Jones says to like the video, you got to like the video. It's simple as that. We need one more like. And we can get into today's show. There it is, 41 likes. I like picking random numbers. I don't know why. I appreciate everyone who is tuned in and hitting that thumbs up icon. Coming up live on today's show, first segment, Miami Dolphins rumors. We got a Tua Tagovailoa semi-update from ESPN's Jeff Darlington. Segment number 2, we're going to answer your questions. And then that final one, Blockbuster trade targets. We're going to get into who Miami could swing big for prior to the season getting underway or in the middle of the season before the trade deadline passes. Fun show on tap. And you know what? Let's jump into the first segment on Tua Tagovailoa and expectations for this upcoming season. Welcome to Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. Loaded show here on the latest Dolphins rumors, starting with Tua Tagovailoa, and we'll talk about some expectations for the end of the season as well. But Jeff Darlington of ESPN went on ESPN and their NFL show yesterday and reported that the Dolphins and Tua continue negotiations on a possible contract extension as Tua is entering the final year of his rookie contract on that 5th-year option. Before we get into what Darlington had to say and my reaction, make sure you subscribe because we have daily content here at Dolphins Today breaking down everything you need to know surrounding the Fins. And if Tua does get an extension, we'll be the first to let you know. So hit that sub button. All right, here is the report from Jeff Darlington of ESPN, who said, while I can't say that there is anything imminent in terms of a deal as we inch closer to training camp, I can at least tell you that there have been active negotiations since then. They continue to try to get this done with a very amicable approach. It does not appear that it is going sideways by any means. And to me, this is pleasant to hear because the last time we got a Tua update in terms of contract negotiations from Jeff Darlington was him actually telling us that there is less optimism of a deal getting done. This came about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I'm glad that there is still talks between Chris Grier, Tua, and his representatives because regardless of your opinion, like no matter what you think of Tua Tagovailoa, if he deserves a contract extension, if you don't think he deserves one, you think he chokes, you think he's the franchise guy, like I don't care what you think. All that matters is this team is working symbiotically, if I said that correctly, to try to get one common goal accomplished, that is winning a Super Bowl. And to me, getting vibes started off poorly by not having an extension done with Tua, him potentially holding out or holding in late July, early August, just kind of hampers this team and could allow Miami to get off to a slower start, which cannot happen. You can't have training camp go sideways, and you can't have a slow start on this Dolphins schedule, because we'll look at the Fins schedule at the end of the episode, but when you look at it from an outside perspective, the beginning portion is very easy, and the end is where it gets more difficult. So you're going to have to take advantage of an easier schedule in the first 6 to 8 games of the year, which means you have to have everybody locked in and working with one common goal, and that's simply not possible if Tua Tagovailoa is either holding out or holding in. So to me, I don't know what the holdup is. We need to get an extension done with QB1. Let me know, and this is a prediction. This isn't what you want to happen. This isn't what you think should happen. Just predict it. Will Tua get an extension done prior to training camp getting started? Type Y for yes or type N for no. This might help you answer this question because these are the important dates for Tua and the Miami Dolphins. Rookies report a week from today, July 16th. We're filming this on the 9th, which means we're 7 days away from rookies like Chop Robinson, Patrick Paul, Jalen Wright, Malik Washington, Mo Kamara reporting to South Florida to get their rookie seasons underway, which means coaches are going to start installing, and we got real football to talk about. But when you think about the real deadline for Tua and the Miami Dolphins on a possible extension, sure, you can say the beginning of training camp, which is the 16th for Miami, is the rookies report. But Tua and the veterans report on July 23rd. So realistically, to me, you got a 14-day window to get an extension done with Tua. I think you just have to do it, man. Like, we've talked about what he could get in terms of Trevor Lawrence getting $55 million per year over 5 seasons with $200 million guaranteed. Jared Goff getting $172 total with a lot of money guaranteed as well. Like, to me, you simply just have to get this done. If you want to give Tua 55, cool. If you want to give him 52, where Jared Goff got on an annual average basis, that's cool too. Either way, I expect it to be in somewhere of those two guys who already got their extensions this offseason. And like I mentioned, I don't want to hammer the point home too much here, but you need to get it done so we don't have a dark cloud hanging over this team when training camp begins. All right, let's transition into the second half of today's show now, because do the Dolphins need to win the AFC East? Because NFL analyst and sports talk figurehead Rich Eisen believes the Dolphins need to win the division. I agree. I think Miami absolutely needs to win the AFC East, not only for themselves as they try to go further and further into the postseason and get a playoff win for the first time in a very long time, but they also need to prove to themselves that they are no longer in the category of building up to being a contender. No, they're actually contending in the AFC. And I know that's going to be tough because the division is really solid and you got a lot of good teams in the AFC, but you got to start by winning the AFC East. We'll look at the schedule here in a second, but Rich Eisen originally said that the Bills are, again, we're just talking about on paper here, but they're getting ready for the season. They're potentially in a transition moment. Name me a team that needs to win and play a home game in order to advance to the Super Bowl more than the Miami Dolphins. And I think the first part of that quote from Rich Eisen is very important. This is the time for Miami. When you look around the AFC East and who they are competing for to potentially win this division and earn a home playoff game, the New England Patriots, they are not ready to contend, but they could be a hot commodity and a good team coming up in the next 3 to 4 seasons if Drake May turns out to be legit, their 3rd overall pick, because they already have a good defense. The New York Jets, they have a really good defense, but they're a little bit older. So they're also coming off a big-time injury with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't really believe they're ready to win the AFC East. And Buffalo, who has dominated the division ever since Tom Brady left to go to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're kind of regressing, if you will. They lose Stephon Diggs. Von Miller's getting older. They lost Trey Wright. They lost Micah Hyde. They lost Jordan Poyer. Their team is going this way, not this way. So to me, the Dolphins are the only team that have the veterans, the young pieces that are continuing to mesh together on the upward trajectory that can really put a dagger into the AFC East and capture that crown for the first time since 2008. They got to do it. And I believe it's absolutely necessary if they want to try to advance in the postseason, because we've talked a lot about Tua, and his issues in cold and big games. Well, you know what's not cold in January? Miami. So why don't you play a game there? You predict it for me. Will the Dolphins win the AFC East? Type W for win, type NC for no chance. I personally am going to type my W's. I got faith in the Aqua and Orange. I think it's important to look at what the schedule is, and we've talked about this in the past, but I want to rehash this topic because this obviously is how Miami can really get things rolling towards an AFC East crown. I think the first 7 games are very favorable for Miami. Home against Jacksonville. Home against Buffalo. To me, you got to start 2-0 and win those games. At Seattle is going to be a tough one, so that one could go either way. Let's just say for the safe side, we give them a loss. But then the next 4 games, Titans, Patriots, Colts, Cardinals, with a bye mixed in between, like you have to be 6-1 or 7-0 if you ask me. Because the last 8 games of your schedule are absolutely brutal. Or actually, last 10 games of your schedule. You got Buffalo in Buffalo. The Rams are an interesting team. Then you get a couple of easy ones with the Raiders and Patriots at home, but you go to the Packers on Thursday Night Football on Thanksgiving, which is going to be a brutal game in terms of weather. Jets, Texans, Jets to end it, Browns, 49ers. Like your schedule down the stretch is a little bit more difficult in the beginning, so you have to get off to a hot start if you're the Miami Dolphins and you want to win the AFC East. And to me, I think I need an 11-6 record. I know that 11-6 wasn't able to get the job done this past season, but I think that is the one that you're going to need this year. I think the Bills take a step back. Like if they win 9 games, it wouldn't surprise me. If they go 9-8, wouldn't be shocked. The Jets are in that same tier of 8-9, 9-8, 10-7. I think the AFC East winner will be 11 wins. Can Miami get to 11? That's why, as I mentioned off the top with Tua, like getting off to a hot start is important because the first 7 games of your schedule is so much easier than the last 10. If you can go 6-1 or 7-0 in your first 2 months of the season, that puts you in a really good spot, which allows you to have a couple hiccups down the stretch, but still have a home playoff game and win the AFC East. And it's a big season for Miami. This is a make or break year for the Miami Dolphins. Don't get it twisted. I'm bullish on this team. I like Tua. I love Mike McDaniel. But this is year 3, and they fumbled down the stretch of the season and haven't been able to win the big game in the first 2 years of them being combined. They both need to prove to the fans, the NFL, and this front office that they can do it when it matters most and win the big game in December and January. They both need it, both McDaniel and Tua. Tua to either earn that contract or prove why he got that contract, and McDaniel to get the talking heads off his back that he can't coach and get the job done down the late stretch of the season. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed because we are going to be breaking down everything for the Miami Dolphins leading up to the season as well as during the season. We talked about what Miami can do in 2024. We'll be live for every Miami Dolphins game on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, whenever they play. So make sure you're subscribed and join us for a hell of a season. All right, one segment in the books. And we're going to revisit this question. Will the Dolphins win the AFC East? Will they do it? Will they do it? Quentin says W. Joseph says W. Chad Jones says no chance. Chad, no faith in your squad? No faith, Chad? He's saying 9-8. Oh, my guy Axie's in the building. Type in win. Michael saying win. Joseph saying win. What's up, Sherry May? Good to see you. Every Noodle, I agree with you. This is a prove-it season for everyone in the building. Tua, Mike McDaniel. Gotta have it. Gotta have it. Win the division. Win 11 games. I mean, I would still be extremely disappointed and upset with this team if they lost their first playoff game. But if they win the division for the first time since 2008, like, at least you're taking steps in the right direction, right? At least you're taking steps in the right direction. CF says W. Poe says 12-5. Chad says our schedule's going to hurt us. Yeah, there's no denying the last 10 games of that schedule's brutal. It is. It simply is. You got some tough games on the road. In New York, in Cleveland, which is really brutal that time of year. In Green Bay, like, it's not an easy schedule, man. It isn't. Not sugarcoating it. Got to get off to a hot start. I agree, Poe. And if you go back to our record prediction video that we did in, when was that done? Was that in May? Was that a couple weeks after the draft? In May? Yeah, it's definitely in May. If you go back to our schedule record or our schedule announcement and record prediction, I said that right off the bat. The NFL screwed the Dolphins with the schedule because they backloaded it and put their bye early. Now, if you backload the schedule but give us a late bye, well, then that allows us to kind of regroup and make a final push with a nice break in Week 10 or Week 12. But Week 5 back is crazy. Week 5 back is crazy. Or Week 5 bye. It's a Week 6 bye. Week 6 bye, excuse me. Week 6 bye. Oh, man. We do have a mailbag coming up. If you want to get on the show, hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat. Super Chat guarantees your spot in the mailbag. Hashtag Dolphins will be all about what Jack Ray has to think about your questions. But we haven't got any yet. So we're going to need some questions, folks. We have no questions, says Jack Ray. I think we got one. I think we got one coming in. I've seen one. But can we get more? We need more. Got questions on the Fins, whether it be players, free agents, trades, coaching, free agency, doesn't matter. Any questions on the Fins, we'll talk about it. Also, I see no one has complimented my cool quarter zip. That's kind of hurt my feelings. It's a nice zip. It's a nice zip. Also, is it glistening? I don't see it glistening today. It is? It is? I can't tell. It doesn't look like it's glistening. Thanks, Poe. I appreciate the comment on the zip. I'm a quarter zip guy. I am. I am a little bit of quarter zip guy. I mean, I love it. That is probably what, if I wear something to work 85% of the time, quarter zip, 10% hoodie, 5% t-shirt. Nah, 70% quarter zip, 20% hoodie, 10% shirt. A couple questions coming in. Edgar, good question. Joseph, good question. Chad Jones, good question. Continue to get those questions in, baby. Mario, good question. Got to have hashtag Dolphins on there. Hashtag Dolphins. Chad Jones, I see. I'll know what you mean by that when we talk about it. Quentin, it's great quarter zip. Also, this is like the old school logo. Do you prefer the old school logo or the new school logo? Jack, come on screen for a second. Or actually, I guess, yeah, you can come on screen. You see the old school logo or Jack's hat? Which logo do you prefer? I could go either way. I think I like the old school a little bit better because I like the little helmet on the Dolphin with the M, personally. I'm an old guy. See a lot of people saying old school. Kristen, Nick. Speaking of Nick, Banghart, his profile picture is the old school logo. That's why when I was looking to pick up a new Q-zip, I was always looking at the old logo stuff. New logo stuff is cool, but I like the old one, baby. I like the old. Bob Ross, good question. You just got to merge hashtag in the Dolphins. Oh, we got our first super chat of the day. Shout out to Chad Jones. Who? The legend
Chad
himself
Jones
is back again. $20 super chats are shots. I don't think the shot glass was cleaned, which is unfortunate for me. You're going to get another one? I don't know what's up with it. There's like a glaze in it. I don't know. But shout out to Chad Jones, who is the GOAT of Dolphins Today. Some people call him the Dan Marino of Dolphins Today, a.k.a. me. That's what I don't know if anyone has ever said that to you before, Chad, but you are Dan Marino in my eyes. You're the GOAT. You're the GOAT. You're the GOAT. Kristen Reinhardt knows. Sherry May goes. Everyone spam your Chad Jones down below. Show the man some love. $20 super chats is a shot of tequila. $5 or $10 super chats is 5 push-ups. $50 gets you in the Aqua Club or Miami Dolphins Hall of Fame. Thank you, Mr. Latteray. Little Tuesday tequila shot never hurt nobody. Little thirsty Tuesday, if you will. And it's not Thursday, but it still could be a thirsty day. Appreciate Chad. Michael says Patron is awesome. Probably my favorite tequila. Jack, I know you're not the biggest drinker, but if you were to drink, what is your choice? Because I know there is a drink out there that you will have.
I am very loyal to the High Noon.
Very loyal to High Noon.
Because they actually taste good. That's the thing with me. Like, one, I just don't drink alcohol because I don't drink alcohol. But, I mean, a big reason why is I don't like the taste of alcohol. So, High Noons actually taste good. So, I'll have a noon every now and then.
Listen, I understand that alcohol isn't for everyone. And, you know, it is what it is. Like, there's some out there that I think taste terrific. There was a beer that I have. Oh, Busch Light Peaches. Not sponsored. Please sponsor me, Busch Light Peach. God, it'd be so electric. Yeah, Busch Light Peaches. Dude, they're terrific. I think they're a limited edition. They're only for the summertime because they do a fall limited edition where they have apples. If you're a beer person, I know Chad Jones is a whiskey guy, but if you want to go to the beer aisle and pick up some Busch Light Peaches, I think it's the perfect blend between sweetness and a beer. It's just terrific. It's terrific. Franklin Clark says, where in Rochester are you from? I am originally and spent 18 years of living in Hilton, New York, which is a suburb in Rochester. Hilton, New York. I guess I could technically say 22 years because, well, when you're in college for 4 years, do you count that as still living in your hometown? No, right? Because I lived in Allegheny/Olean, New York when I attended St. Bonaventure for 4 years. So obviously there was periods of times, like month, 2 months, where I lived in Rochester and Hilton. But I'd say 18 years in Hilton, 4 years for the most part in Allegheny/Olean because that's where I went to college. And then I got out of college, and then 2 months after graduating, Dallas, Texas, baby. Dallas, Texas, baby. Oh, your boy's hurt? Not an all-star. Not an all-star. Sherry says tequila makes me act all obnoxious. I get it. Let me know your favorite drinks. Chad says Corona with lime. Coronas are terrific, too. Coronas are great. Every Noodle says hard liquor. Jack says we need 2 guards. I could say that. Oh, Wasim's in the building saying weed and beer. You know, different strokes for different folks. That's all I'm going to say. Different strokes for different folks, baby. Different strokes for different folks. I could go either way. I can really go to any beer. I'm a beer guy, but I also like the hard stuff too. Like I like tequila. You know, this little marg. You just saw me took a tequila shot. I ain't afraid to go raw dog it either, baby. I ain't afraid to do that either. Not afraid. Not afraid. Not afraid. Take a stand. Take a stand. All right. Do we have enough questions? Jack Lotteray says we're fine on questions. Oh, Tim Boo. Tim Boo, good question. Use hashtag Dolphins. I saw the hashtag. Yeah, get the Dolphins. Edgar with a question. Franklin Clark, before we start. I live in Victor. We know it is tough being a Fins fan. Yeah, it's Buffalo Bills place. God, I gotta hate the Bills. Now, do I hate the Bills maybe because I grew up in Rochester, New York? It's very likely that I mean, I would hate the Bills anyway, really. I mean, I was born to hate Buffalo. I hated them in Rochester. I hate them now. I was born to hate the Bills. I was. I have no shame in that. They're an easy team to hate. They've never won anything. Oh, what the Mets do? Phil Maton? That's a reliever. That's a masterclass. David Stern's masterclass. I hope it is cash. The only play that's never failed, cash considerations. Cash considerations. All right, let's get into this mailbag, baby. By the way, shout out Franklin. Victor, I don't know if you like this place. I always used to love it as a kid and my friends. The Thirsty Turtle Bar in Victor. I mean, you name a bar Thirsty Turtle, you're going to get Rolly to show up there. What a name that is. Thirsty Turtle? Oh, take me back right now. Get a beer in my hand. Let's do it. All right, let's actually talk some Dolphins football here. Make sure you're following me on Twitter because, well, I can answer your Dolphins questions over there if you didn't get featured in the mailbag. But you know what? I also wanted to give some follow backs to some Dolphins fans. The first 10 people to follow me from today's show will get a follow back. I want to create a larger community of Fins fans on my Twitter/X. My handle is at Nic_Rohloff, so go give me a follow. Remember, first 10 get a follow back. Welcome into Dolphins Today. I am Nic Rohloff. Fun show here as we get to answer some of the latest and most pressing questions surrounding the Miami Dolphins. And the first one's coming in from Jack Lotteray. Oh my, what's the latest on Greg Van Roten? Well, Jack, if you have been subscribed to the channel, you would know that we talk about Greg Van Roten quite a bit. He is the top offensive guard available in free agency, and he's one of the only guys, if the only guy, that is still out there that if the Dolphins picked up off the street today, he would probably be your starting right guard. It's obviously the biggest need for Miami. Robert Jones, Jack Driscoll, Liam Eichenberg, and Lester Cotton are all going to compete for that starting right guard spot during training camp that gets underway within the next 2 weeks here. If the Dolphins do not feel comfortable after watching those four guys compete through the first couple weeks of training camp, I do believe they could go out and sign Van Roten. I think they should do it now. Evidently, Chris Grier doesn't feel the same way. They have $16 million in cap space, so Miami could do it right now if they really wanted to. But I guess they're just going to hold off. Let's hope Greg Van Roten's still on the board if Miami does think they need a right guard. Chad Jones! Do you think Mike not changing up the offense is what hurt us towards the end of the... Okay, so do you think Mike McDaniel not changing up the offense? No, listen, everybody's going to adjust, right? And when the Dolphins offense first hit the league, you got that quick motion, the quick stuff, the over the middle of the field stuff, attack your zones with that motion. I think it shocked a lot of people because people just haven't seen that type of offense before. And teams were starting to make adjustments for it. And sure, you can say Mike McDaniel should have changed up the offense, but this is what his players knew. So what I think the adjustment for this upcoming year for McDaniel and company is going to be is stick to your bread and butter, have those plays still that made you so dynamic over the past 2 seasons, but you have to have a fallback option to where the defense adjusts to that, where you throw a counterpunch to their counterpunch. It's a game of chess in the NFL. That's really what it is. Sure, players go out there and make phenomenal plays to beat coaching, but coaching might matter more in the NFL than it does in any other sport. So as long as Mike McDaniel has an adjustment to the defensive adjustments, I'm going to feel pretty good about Mike McDaniel and his offensive scheme. Colin Johnson with a question. If the hashtag Dolphins can't work out an extension, would you trade Tua? It's a loaded question because, well, do you extend Tua? What do you do? And if you don't come to an extension, should you trade him? I'll say this, Colin. I'm not going to trade Tua Tagovailoa, and I do understand that line of thinking, right? Like, that's kind of something that is pretty common in the NBA. If you can't work out a contract, well, we're going to trade you so you don't leave for nothing. And even though if the Dolphins don't get an extension done before training camp and he holds out, like, I still think the best course of action for Miami is keeping Tua Tagovailoa because even if you don't get a deal done, you have the franchise tag over the next 2 seasons to use on Tua. So to me, that's probably the way this could head. And Tua could demand a trade, but the Dolphins could also say, we're not trading you. And it's probably where it's going to go. Because, like, what are you trading Tua for? What would you get in return? Like, I don't know who would be the Miami Dolphins quarterback of the future if you ended up trading Tua. There's really not that many good options in free agency, and there's not really any other quarterbacks that are going to shake loose in the trade market. So unless you're drafting or trading Tua for a top 10 pick and taking a quarterback there, which would only delay your timeline of potentially competing in the AFC, I don't see that as an option, and I probably wouldn't trade Tua. Let me know, though, if he doesn't sign an extension, would you consider trading Tua? Type Y for yes or type N for no? We'll stick with the quarterbacks here with Edgar0530. Skylar Thompson or Mike White for QB2? That's a good question. I think it all depends on how they performed during training camp and in the preseason. Now, personally, I probably lean Skylar Thompson because I actually think he's a better quarterback. And I know Mike White's getting paid more money than Skylar Thompson this upcoming year. Like, you could save $3 million in cap space if you cut or trade Mike White. And to me, I feel like that is going to be the best option because even if Mike White is better than Skylar Thompson, it's by a very marginal amount, right? So, like, is the $3 million on the books for Mike White worth the marginal upgrade of QB2 over Skylar Thompson? I'm not so sure. And like I said, I don't even think Skylar is worse than Mike White. Like, I would argue he's better. He's had experience in big-time moments for this Dolphins team. For crying out loud, he played and started a postseason game against the Buffalo Bills and almost went into Buffalo and beat them in 2022. Like, this is a very capable backup, and I am absolutely fine having Skylar Thompson as my QB2, which means Mike White being cut or traded is definitely in the cards. And keep your eye on UDFA out of UTEP, Gavin Hardison. I think he can make some noise in July and August here. He has a big arm. He's mobile. He's a gunslinger. It's just all about if he can get the accuracy down. But if he can and he shows flashes, maybe Mike White is even more expendable than he is right now. Make sure you are subscribed to Dolphins Today because we're going to give you news and rumors around the Fins the quickest. We also go live every week, and if you missed our mailbag, it might be because you don't have your notifications turned on when we go live every Tuesday. So make sure you do that as well as join the channel so you don't miss anything surrounding the Dolphins. Joseph, how confident are we in the O-line and D-line to hold up through the season? All right, two-part question here. We'll start with the positive, and that's defensive line. If you include the edge group in the edge department, my confidence on a scale of 1 to 10 is at a 9.1. I am very confident in this defensive line. Just think about what you can throw at opposing quarterbacks and offensive lines. You got Jalen Phillips. You got Bradley Chubb. You got Shaq Barrett. 2 rookies in Mo Kamara and Chop Robinson. And you also have Zach Sealer coming off 10-sack season last season. And then after you added Calais Campbell as well, like those 7 guys I just named are extremely good. And sure, the depth at interior defensive line is sketchy. And if you end up having a bunch of injuries in that position, it could be an issue. But the defensive line, I have a ton of confidence in. And I think that group is going to be top 5 in the league in pressure rate, sacks. Like, I am very bullish on the Miami Dolphins pass rush, especially under a coach in Anthony Weaver, first-time defensive coordinator in Miami, who is extremely known for being able to develop a good pass rush as he was a defensive line coach in Baltimore. The offensive line side of it, on a scale of 1 to 10, my confidence is a little bit lower. I'll give it a 6.3, and it's not completely horrific, but when you think about what the Fins have, like, it's probably the worst part of their team, right? Their offensive line. Like, I like Teron Armstead and Austin Jackson as your bookend tackles, but we know Armstead is severely injury prone, and that's why you drafted Patrick Paul 55th overall to be a potential swing tackle, but also his long-term replacement if this is Armstead's final season. Your interior offensive line is where it really gets questionable, though. You don't know who's starting at right guard with Robert Jones, Jack Driscoll, Liam Eichenberg, and Lester Cotton fighting for that starting spot after you lost Robert Hunt in free agency. You signed Aaron Brewer to a 3-year deal to replace Connor Williams. I think he's a fine replacement, but I'm not out there to tell you he is going to be some all-pro center like Connor Williams was playing at. And at left guard, Isaiah Wynn, I think he can be really good if he stays healthy, but he's never been able to stay healthy. So you've got 2 question marks at left guard and right guard, a center trying to replace Connor Williams, who was excellent the past year and a half for Miami. It's not the most confident part of this team, that is for sure. That's why I give it a 6.3 in the confidence meter. Every Noodle, you think Channing Tindall or Cam Smith will get over the hump and make an impact in the roster? So 2 players here that we have to talk about, Channing Tindall and Cam Smith. I'll start with Cam Smith. His playing time is very dependent on injuries, if you ask me. Like, even though he was a second-round pick in 2023 out of South Carolina, like, he's still behind both Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller in the depth chart, and who knows if he's even above Nick Needham. Now, you're hoping that Cam Smith puts together a good preseason in camp to be that third corner without a doubt in terms of boundary, because he's not a nickel guy, and that's Kader Kohu's position. But Cam Smith, if Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller stay healthy, I don't really see a lot of formations where he'll be on the field in the normal defense for the Dolphins, which is fine because I'm very happy with having Fuller and Ramsey as your 2 boundary guys. But Cam Smith could be buried if you have good health at your cornerback room. Channing Tindall, he's got to fight to make this roster, man. Like, he really does. Like, You think about what Miami has at linebacker. David Long Jr., I'm a fan. Jordan Brooks and Anthony Walker, your 2B, 2 or 3A type. I like those two in unison. You got your run stopper in Brooks, your pass coverage linebacker in Anthony Walker. There's a fight for LB4. I only think the Dolphins keep 4 inside linebackers. Will it be Duke Riley or will it be Channing Tindall? I think I give the edge to Duke Riley, but Tindall, the former third-round pick, is going to have an excellent preseason and training camp if he wants to beat out Riley to get that 4th linebacker spot. We have to tell you about this quarter zip. Look at it. It looks terrific, but I'm also wearing it. Who does it look better on? I honestly don't know. I think me. I'm always going to say me. But get yours today. Join me. Old school logo. Nice little comfortability. It's light. It's very versatile. You could wear it on the golf course. You could wear it at home. You could wear it to work like I am right now. Get yours today. chatsports.com/DolphinsQZ. Links in the description and comments. Edgar with another question. If the Dolphins don't extend Tua, what could the Dolphins do now or at the end of the season to make some salary cap to pay him? Well, it's an intriguing question because obviously if they don't extend him now, I have to look. Like, there's other things they could do. They can restructure Bradley Chubb's contract. They can restructure some Tyreek Hill, give him an extension, and push some of that money down the road as he doesn't have a ton of guaranteed money next season. Like, there's many different things that the Dolphins can do. And if I'm going to be honest, maybe this is on me, hands up. I haven't looked a ton into the cap space and moves Miami would have to make if they don't extend him now. But here's the thing, like, if they extend him now, if they don't extend him now, they're going to have to make cap moves regardless to make it fit for next season and beyond. We'll see what the Dolphins end up doing, though. I'll be better prepared next time for this question. Joseph Coloma, do we have another Noah situation with Cam Smith? Well, Iggy wasn't so good. He was a first-round pick out of Auburn, and he never really found his stride in Miami. Difference because Noah was a higher pick than Cam Smith, and Noah had his chances. He just wasn't good. Cam Smith didn't get any chances last year, Joseph. He only played 20 snaps for Vic Fangio. So I think there's a little bit of a difference here that Noah got a lot of playing time and it was bad. Cam Smith has yet to get playing time, and he's only in year 2. I don't know if we have another situation developing. He's kind of just buried on the depth chart. We're just going to have to see how Cam Smith performs when he gets his number called to be on this field. Shire City, I want to know where the Dolphins fans are watching from. We know we reach worldwide as YouTube can be viewed almost anywhere. So let me know where you're watching from, whether it be a city in the United States, whether it be a country. Let me know where you're watching the show from. Timbo, do you think Malik will be a standout this upcoming season? I assume you're talking about Malik Washington, the wide receiver from Virginia who the Dolphins selected in the 6th round. That is my guy. Now, I do think he will. Do I think he will be the best rookie from this Dolphins class? No, it's just unlikely that he has the biggest impact. I'd probably give it to Jalen Wright or Chop Robinson. But I do think Malik Washington will be excellent this year and for years to come. Like, he can be that great slot guy in this Mike McDaniel offense, and he was terrific in college. He had almost 10 touchdowns. He had 1,300 yards. He was a second-team AP All-American and had 111 catches. Like, he is going to be phenomenal, and he is the most excited player, or at least the player I am most excited to watch in preseason. When he makes catches in the 3 preseason games for the Fins, I'm going to get fired up. Michael, hypothetically speaking, if Dolphins make it this season, make it far this season, playoff win a Super Bowl, how much should Tua get? That's kind of the risk you're running here, right? And I've always said this. I believe that Tua is going to have the best year of his career this season. He had the best year of his career last year, having 4,600 passing yards, completing 69% of his passes, and having 29 touchdowns. Sure, interceptions were a little bit high with 14, but year 3 in Mike McDaniel offense, I expect those numbers to go up. I think the passing numbers will be about the same, 45, 4,600, but I expect touchdowns to go up from 29 to 35. Touchdowns to go down from 14 to 10. So if Tua completes 67% plus of his passes, throws 35 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, 10 interceptions, but also gets you a playoff win and potentially even an AFC East championship, like, I am going to think Tua is going to want $58, $60 million. Like, that's not what he should get maybe, but it's just the market. 55 mil for that type of quarterback is the market right now. So if he puts up a better season, a career year, plays 17 games for a second consecutive season, and Miami makes it into the postseason and wins a playoff game, that price number is only going to go up by $3 million at bare minimum. So to me, that's why I think Tua should get paid now, because if you don't and he balls out like I expect him to in year 3 with Mike McDaniel, that price point's going to be even higher. That's going to do it for today's show. If you didn't get your question feature on the mailbag, well, you can get one at my Twitter, at Nic_Rohloff. So go give me a follow and hit me up, because I'm not afraid to answer any of your Finn's questions. Woo! First question I asked on that mailbag, would you consider trading Tua if you can't get an extension done? Y for yes or N for no? Chad saying yes. I saw Tim say no, Michael no, Joseph no, Kristen no, Quinn says yes. That's kind of my point every noodle as I'm looking back here. It says, unless you have a person who can make an impact right away to replace Tua, there's no reason to get rid of him. That's kind of where I sit. Like, why would you get rid of Tagovailoa if you don't have a backup option? And sure, you could say Skylar Thompson and Mike White are cool backups, but if they have to be the starter for this team, like, I don't care what you think of this roster and this Mike McDaniel offense, those two starting for 17 games aren't getting you deep into the playoffs, and they're probably not making the postseason. Like, without Tua, I think that's an 8-win. Like, if Mike White or Skylar Thompson the QB, that's a 7-win or 8-win team. Tua takes you to 10 or 11. That's kind of how I feel. Chad says yes. Michael says no. Bob Ross says no. Michael no. Tim no. Kristen no. Sherry May no. Joseph no. Julian Lewis, what's up, my friend? Says no. Paul no. Poe no. And a thing that I am going to bring up as well is, did you see the way that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle stood up for Tagovailoa at mandatory minicamp when they were asked about Tua getting paid? They had high words. They had high regards for the lefty. Like, to me, it's clear that the teammates love Tua. They like playing for him. They like playing with him. He's a leader. Like, you got to get him, man. Got to get him. Got to get him extended. Maurice Jenkins says no. Paul says, I'm sick of rebuilding. Exactly. The Dolphins have been stuck in mediocrity for so long. Past decade. It just has not been good. And now you have a roster that is expected to win double-digit games. Expected to be in the AFC East division talking. And potentially make a run in the AFC. And you want to trade the quarterback that has got you there? I know the wide receivers, the weapons, the offense is a big reason why this team has been able to take that step forward into that discussion. But you can't tell me the quarterback has had nothing to do with that. I don't want to pay him 55, 60 mil. I don't want to do that. I'd rather pay him 48 mil. But he's asking for what his peers got. The market is the market. This is how it is, man. Chad says Chris Greer is our mediocrity. I think Chris has done a good job, man. Trading for Tua, or not trading for Tua, trading for Tyreek Hill, trading for Jalen Ramsey. He hasn't been shy. Drafting Jalen Waddle, drafting Tua Tagovailoa. Like, I like him, man. I think Greer's done a good job. Trading for Bradley Chubb, like, he's been aggressive. And I respect it. I absolutely respect it. Chad, you know what? The O-line isn't great. But is any NFL roster perfect? I would say no. There's always going to be one group or one lacking part. Offensive line. How differently would we feel if we signed Greg Van Roten? We get the notification right on our phone right now. Dolphins signed Greg Van Roten. Like, I think we're going to feel much better about that offensive line. Woo! Went a little rent there, Ray. I went a little rant there, Ladere. I know, Chad. Trenches are key. Our defensive trenches is phenomenal. Even with losing Christian Wilkins, this defensive line is phenomenal. Campbell, Sealer, those edge rushers, baby. Man, I feel good about this Dolphins team, man. I do. I would be stunned if they don't win bare minimum 10 games, but I expect 11 or 6 or better. I expect 11 or 6. That's what I expect. We'll see if it ends up happening, but that is what I expect. All right. No super chats in between segments here. If you do feel like you want to donate, anything would be appreciated to help us grow the channel, get more studio space, get more live shows. And in gratuity to you guys donating, we like to give something in return in terms of entertainment. 5 push-ups is $10. $20 is a shot tequila, which we did a little bit earlier. Got Patron, thanks to Chad Jones. And then $50 gets you into the Dolphins Hall of Fame, and I take a beer bong to celebrate. Get your name in the Aqua Club on the Fins helmet. Full-sized replication helmet right here. I also will say this. I think the Dolphins have, if not the best helmet, at least top 5. When you're talking specific normal helmets, I think it's top 5. Like, I'll put the Raiders up there. I think the Raiders helmet's sweet. Silver and black is cool. I'll put the Falcons up there. I'm a fan of the Falcons logo. Like their helmet. The Saints are up there. Little Florida La, whatever what is it called? Florida Lee. No? Can't help me, Jack. Florida Lee. I'm trying to think of other good helmets. But the Dolphins are right there, man. The white helmet with that Fins logo, sucker, man. Michael says Cowboys. See, doesn't move me. It's just a star on a gray helmet. Doesn't move me. Chargers helmets, I'll give you that. The white helmets with the blue, the bolt is cool. Yeah, if you've seen a theme here, a lot of these are like off-colored. Chargers throwbacks are sick. The Fins throwback unis are so sick, man. I hope they wear them more. I don't know how many times they're wearing them this season, but hopefully. Tampa's got good helmets. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Paul. I know this is going to be controversial because they're a division rival, but the throwback Patriots jerseys or helmets are just sick. The Pat the Patriot, the little helmet guy that's the center. I mean, those are cool. Got to give credit where credit's due. Unfortunate, but got to give credit where credit's due. All right, let's get into the final segment on today's show. Blockbuster trade targets for the Miami Dolphins. Training camp is getting underway in just about a week, but on today's show, we are going to talk about 5 blockbuster trade targets that could happen before the season gets underway on September 8th against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today. Before we get into it, though, make sure you're following me and us on social media. I'm approaching 1,200 followers on Twitter. Give me a follow there. But I want to focus in on our Instagram. We're almost at 300 followers on Dolphins Today IG. We post content over there in between our episodes. So if you want more around the Miami Dolphins, our Instagram is the best place to do it. Short form content, highlights, photos, we have it all. Go give us a follow. The links for both of these handles are in the description. First blockbuster trade target is Preston Smith, the edge rusher of the Green Bay Packers. This one's a little interesting because Smith has 3 years left on his contract, but the way it's been kind of constructed is a little bit odd. In 2024, he carries a $3.2 million base salary, which trades in the NFL can be complicated in terms of how much salary the new team trading is paying, how much the old team is paying. But one thing is certain, you'd have to pay his base salary. And $3.2 million isn't that bad, considering at least right now you have $16 million in cap space. Preston Smith has been one of the most dynamic pass rushers in the NFL, and he's been terrific for the Packers, putting up 9, 8.5, 8 sacks over the past 3 seasons. He's been great. So you might be asking yourself, why would Green Bay trade him, and why would the Dolphins be able to acquire him? Well, I'll answer both these questions. And the real first question that we have to answer, though, is, are the Dolphins even going to be looking to add another edge? Because their group is very, very good, and I've called it top 3, top 5 in the NFL, and I'll stand by that. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Shaq Barrett, those are your headliners, but then you also brought in 2 rookies with the first-round pick Chop Robinson and the 5th-rounder Mo Kamar, who I'm very high on. Now, the question to that question is, will they all be healthy? Bradley Chubb returning from a knee injury. Jalen Phillips returning from an Achilles injury. Like, if those 2 are not fully ready to go prior to the season, I could see the Dolphins making a trade to acquire an edge rusher that would just allow them to ease back into the year, and even when they return, still give you a loaded group that you can just rotate in and out, keep legs fresh, risk of injury goes down, and just create an even more dynamic pass rush. Preston Smith would be a very fun addition, and he would be excellent. The Packers, maybe they deal him after they drafted Lucas Van Ness a year ago. Rashawn Gary got paid. There is a pathway to where Preston Smith might get a little pushed down. But the question is on the Dolphins side of things. Do the Dolphins actually need to add an edge to this roster? You heard the pitch on if they could add one based on injury history. Type Y for yes or type N for no. If you're typing Y, here's another option for the Dolphins to go acquire an edge. Azeez Ojulari, the edge rusher of the New York Giants, and his contract is very, very cheap as he is entering the final year of his initial rookie contract. And Ojulari has had some pretty good moments throughout his career. He's been here for 3 seasons, and he came onto the scene as a rookie with 8 sacks. He's kind of declined over the past 2 seasons due to injuries and not being able to stay on the field. But in his career so far, he has been pretty solid. I mean, 35 games played, 80 tackles basically, 16 sacks. Like, the numbers in terms of games played to his stats are very, very good. The only issue is that he has not been able to stay on the field. And to me, to round out this conversation on trading for an edge rusher, adding an edge rusher, because a lot of other publications, whether it be ESPN, Pro Football Network, Pro Football Focus, like a lot of these publications are saying that the one move Miami should make outside of extending your own guys is adding another edge because of the injuries to Phillips and Chubb. It just depends on how you feel, man. And if you end the preseason in late August and feel that, well, we need to add another group because in the 2 weeks between preseason game number 3 and week 1 against the Jaguars, we don't think Chubb and Phillips are going to be ready and both of them might miss. Maybe you do go out and trade for one because you need another guy because Chop Robinson, Mo Kamara, and Shaq Barrett, like they're probably not going to get after the pass rusher considering you have 2 rookies and a old veteran that is on a 1-year deal. So it's possible they go out and trade for one. I'd expect it to be more on the Azeez Ojulari side of things rather than Preston Smith due to contract and low trade value. Ben Cleveland, the offensive guard for the Baltimore Ravens, could be an intriguing name that the Finns go after because, well, he has never really gotten the playing time that he has probably deserved in Baltimore. Like, he's only played in 621 snaps over his career, and his PFF numbers are okay. 63.8 overall, 69 pass block, 61 run block. He's only allowed 1 sack and 3 penalties, but over his 3-year career, he's just never been able to really take a stranglehold on the starting offensive guard spot in Baltimore. Now is his opportunity, but if he doesn't win the job for the Ravens and gets beat out, there is a realistic situation where Baltimore is just like, well, maybe we've given Ben Cleveland all the time in the world to figure it out. He simply hasn't. Let's try to cut bait, trade him for a 6th or 7th. And a team like Miami, who looks at their roster, looks at their right guard battle, says, yeah, we don't really like how it's looking with Jack Driscoll, Robert Jones and company. Maybe we take a guy from the exterior, trade for Ben Cleveland, and give him a chance to be your starting right guard. That is a realistic possibility for the Miami Dolphins. And I'll say this, whether it be a signing, whether it be a trade, whether it be an extension, doesn't matter what it is. If the Dolphins make a roster move, we will make a video. So hit that sub button and join us here at Dolphins Today. Another offensive lineman that could be intriguing, John Feliciano, the offensive lineman from San Francisco. This is someone who is extremely experienced and has been around the NFL quite a bit. He's been on the New York Giants. He's been on the San Francisco 49ers. He actually had an extremely good 2023 season in limited snaps. Only played 478 snaps, so he was really just a relief pitcher coming in for injuries or spot starts alongside that offensive line. But he did play the right guard spot, and he did it extremely well. Limited snaps, as I said, but 81 overall grade, 87 run block, 66.5 pass block, 0 sacks allowed, and only 2 penalties. Like, to me, he is an extremely good option if you are looking to add a right guard to this roster via trade. The same could be said for Cleveland and Feliciano. They both could be the starting right guard or left guard for their respective teams in 2024. But if they lose that battle, Miami should be on the phone. If they are going to be relegated to being the backup offensive guard, I know both Cleveland and Feliciano are going to be wanting to be starters this upcoming season. And if Miami, for the last time on today's video, doesn't feel comfortable about that right guard spot, maybe they pick up the phone and try to swing a trade to get an offensive lineman. Last trade target we'll talk about on today's show is Deommodore Lenoir, the cornerback from the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers have made a lot of additions to their secondary, and Lenoir, who has been a mainstay for them over the past couple seasons, could actually be beat out at that nickel spot. Lenoir was on the team that made the Super Bowl, and he's been a key contributor for them. But there's a legit chance he gets beat out because the 49ers have made a lot of additions to that secondary, specifically with the nickel. They got this guy named Odom, I believe, who is really coming on the form that 49ers beat reporters have raved about. So there is a chance he gets benched, and maybe Miami wants to pick him up to give themselves some depth at corner. Because are we really that confident in Kader Kohou? I think he'll have a bounce-back season, but Miami may feel differently. Like, will he? And do you trust the depth you have now? Because your backup nickel corner to Kader Kohou is Saran Neal. I don't even know if Neal's going to make the roster when we get to the 53-man official roster in late August. Like, Kohou did not have a good 2023. Struggled in coverage. The grades showed it. The numbers showed it. Only having 2 PBUs, no takeaways, allowed a completion percentage, according to PFF, of 82.7% and allowed 7 touchdowns. 2023 was a disaster for Kader Kohou after flashing out of the scene in 2022 as a UDFA. I do believe that he is going to have a better 24. Maybe it's my optimistic view, and maybe it's just hopefulness. But I think he'll bounce back. But upgrading at nickel could be a serious option for the Miami Dolphins. I would still classify other needs on this team a little bit higher, but there is no denying nickel cornerback could be one Chris Grier has his eyes on as an improvement as he watches this team unfold in training camp in the preseason. That was 5 trade targets Miami could make a move for prior to the season beginning or at the beginning of the year before the trade deadline. I want you to name a Miami Dolphins trade target for me down in the comment section. You can shout out your favorite guy that I named or go in a different direction as well. It's up to you. Before we head out of here on today's show, make sure you are following me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff is the handle. Make sure you do it on Instagram too at Dolphins Today IG. Like I mentioned, content in between each video. We put out a show every single day, but there's also at least 24 hours in between each show. So if you want more Miami Dolphins content from your boy, Twitter and Instagram is the best place to do it. So go give us a follow. All right, third segment down. Name a Miami Dolphins trade target for me, baby. Let's go. While people are doing that, we got a $10 super chat from Tim Boo. I don't know why I said boom, like it was boom, but Tim Boo. Shout out to you, Tim. Appreciate the $10 donation. Sign GVR today. Bring Greg Van Roten home, baby. Come on. He was so good for Las Vegas last year. Get him in Miami, please, man. I don't understand why they wouldn't do it. I really don't. I think I said this last week on our live show. Like, what is the downside of bringing him in? There is none. There is no downside. And you have the cap space. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Appreciate the super chat from Tim Boo. It's time to do some push-ups. I got to be honest, fellas. I am struggling because I hit the gym the past couple days. Chest and triceps are cooked from yesterday's workout. Today did back and biceps. So this might, even though this is just 5 push-ups, this might be a struggle. There's no denying that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I just feel like that was excellent form. Oh, blurry, back. I mean, I just feel like that was excellent form. Chad says I was on my knees initially, but then you saw me elevate and pump out 5 push-ups. He does always think I'm on my knees. I don't know if Chad likes to post is good form, brother. You know what? That is one thing that little fitness talk here. You guys don't know this. You might remember when I produced for Will Scott 2 years ago. I used to be a big fella. I weighed in before I started my weight loss journey at 270. I'm right now at 194, so I've lost a lot of weight. Yeah, shout out to me, Pat in the Box. Thank you for everyone out there. But one thing that I noticed after playing high school sports for so long and now being in a good shape because I've done a lot of weight training and I've gained a lot of strength, one thing I've realized is that I used to do push-ups so badly. Like, I used to never go down all the way. I used to have my hands spread out like an eagle. And now I realize that I can actually do good form push-ups where, like, hands are in, all the way down to the ground, all the way up in control. Like, man, those push-ups I used to do in high school, they must have been an ugly watch. They must have been an ugly watch. That would have been bad. I don't even want to know the type of push-ups I was doing back in the day. Don't even want to know. All right. Well, those are the 3 segments. Paul says Nick getting a South Beach body. I still got a long way to go, but we're working on it. Appreciate the comments from Steven as well. Shout out to Joseph. Currently dropped 258 to 230. Let's go. He's dropped 25. Let's ride, Joseph. Trying to get to 180, 195. Just make sure you're doing it healthy, Joseph. Something that my family's always checking in on me from. They're like, are you sure you're not doing anything that's harming you long term to lose the weight? No, just eating healthy, working out. Simple as that. Make sure you're doing the same thing. Don't need any of those. It really is. You just got to eat more fruit and vegetables, baby. It's really that simple. Protein, fruits, vegetables. Working out. Done. Losing weight. Health is wealth, Poe. Absolutely. Peace out, everyone. If we don't get a super chat in the next minute or two, which is fine. Appreciate everyone who's shout out to Tim and Chad for donating to the channel. We're going to head out of here, and we'll see you with more videos on a daily basis, and we'll see you next Tuesday for another live show. We'll give it a minute or so, but appreciate everyone. Why is that? Do people care about the MLB All-Star Game? Are you going? Well, if you're going, just we can either start earlier or just tell Brett that we might have a little switcher poo. Doesn't matter to me. Yeah. No, don't skip leg day, folks. That's a good point, Poe. Good point, Poe. Yeah, you got good calves, Jack. Jack says he's got good calves.
I will not claim to be in shape at all. Almost had to be dragged off a basketball court. Nick knows he was there.
I was the one who almost had to do the dragging. We were playing basketball, Jack. You were out there. You're giving us good minutes. I mean, how long were you playing? Do you think, how long was that spurt? 7 minutes?
5 minutes.
7 minutes? All I remember is running back in transition, and now it was bad timing, and my tone might have been terrible. But I looked over at Jack.
It was terrible.
I looked over at Jack.
I thought I was getting berated by Nick.
After a layup happened, and I look over, Jack's face is white as a ghost. He's huffing and puffing. I was like, we got to get Jack out of here. Now, probably would have been better for me to say, guys, Jack is really struggling.
No, you were like, get this guy off the court. I was like, dude, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, it definitely did not come out the best.
And guess who has not been back since?
Well, we haven't been doing so hot, so we'll try. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Appreciate everyone who's tuned in and hung out. We'll see you live again next Tuesday. We'll see the videos every day in between. For Jack Latteray, Nic Rohloff. Peace out, Dolphins fans.